Everybody, Joe Casabona here, and today I'm going to show you how to build a simple webinar sign-up form with Gravity Forms and ConvertKit. So first of all, I just launched this page on my site. This is at casabona.org/sign-up, and it is promoting whatever the current webinar I am hosting next. So right now, it's one that I'm doing with Jennifer Bourne. It's called Generating Leads While Stuck at Home. And there's some information. And then there's a very simple sign-up form here. Now, if I fill out the form, I'll just make up some information here. And then I click Submit. The information is submitted, and the user is shown this nifty Add to Calendar button, or they can go right to YouTube and set the reminder. I'm using YouTube for my webinars and live streams right now. Well, I'm between YouTube and Twitch for my live streams, but for my webinars, I'm using YouTube because I didn't feel like I was getting the value out of Crowdcast or these other tools. I was also told that Crowdcast and these other tools are pretty inaccessible. So with YouTube, you can have an unlisted video, an unlisted live stream. So that's what I'm doing here. I still want people to register, so I capture their email address and I can send them special offers after the webinar and remind them that it's happening, and et cetera, et cetera. But I wanted to run this through my WordPress site, and I wanted to run the webinar through YouTube. So let me show you how I built that. First of all, the Add to Calendar button is from a website called Eventable. I will link this in the description below, but basically, you would give your event a name, generate leads. You would give it the appropriate date and time, which this is going to be 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can enter the location here, which will be, we'll email link or whatever. And then you can add the description, which I have a description here ready to go. And then you can link to a page that you want people to sign up for. So once you fill out the information, click Generate Button. They will ask you for an email address. I happen to already have an account here, so I will fill in my password. And once that's done, they'll give you a few options. They'll give you a code to embed, so you click Select and then Control-C or copy. We'll keep this in mind for later, so I'll just leave this tab up. And if I go to my WordPress site now, I'm going to show you how I built that form. So I'm going to go to Gravity Forms, New Form, and I'm going to create a form called Webinar Registration. So we'll create the form. This is using Gravity Forms 2.4. I should point out that 2.5 is in beta right now, and it got a little bit of a UI overhaul. So keep an eye on this channel for a walkthrough of 2.5 and the new design for Gravity Forms. But if you're watching this as it comes out or shortly after, you will see 2.4. So anyway, I'm going to add a few fields here. The first is the name field. All right, so this is first and last. Now, I don't really need the last name, so I'm just going to tighten this up. I'm going to make it required. And under appearance, I'm going to hide the bottom label. So it just says name, and I can change that to first name if I'd like. Okay, so that's our first name field. Email, naturally, is something we'll want. So email looks good. I'm going to click required on that. And then here's where the magic happens. I am going to go to standard field and grab the hidden field. I'll drag it here. A hidden field on a form is a field that users cannot see, so they won't be able to fill it in. This is good for auxiliary information, like maybe the time the form was filled out or the date the form was filled out, the page the user was on, or whatever. I'm using it for the webinar name. So basically, I want to use my sign-up page for any webinar I happen to be promoting at any given time. And theoretically, this works if I don't have a schedule full of webinars I'm promoting, right? So if I'm just promoting one every month, this form is going to work out great because I can update it. So We have the field webinar name. Under advanced, we can have a default value, which I'll just set to live stream. And we can set it to a whole bunch of stuff that might be useful to us. I'm also going to click allow field to be populated dynamically, which means that I can pass a value via the URL, a shortcode, or something else. And we're going to focus on that something else for this video. So I'm calling the parameter webinar, and then I'm going to click update. So the form has been updated. If we go to form settings and then confirmations, I always like making sure that the default confirmation is changed, add a little bit more personality. So you did it. And then now we will grab this code here. So I'll select it and copy it. And then I'll go to the text view and I'll paste it. So now we have that nifty little button. We'll click Save Confirmation. And we're missing one piece here. That's the ConvertKit piece. We actually need a separate plugin for that. That plugin is not made by Gravity Forms. It is made by the team at ConvertKit. So we'll search Gravity Forms ConvertKit. And even though Gravity Forms is a premium plugin, the Gravity Forms ConvertKit add-on is free and available in the plugin directory. So we'll click Install and Activate. Now, something I am going to need to do here is validate or verify my ConvertKit API. So I'm going to do that privately so that I don't show it in the video. But you can retrieve your API key by clicking this link, and then you will find your key in the API key field here. Then you can fill in the ConvertKit API field and update settings. Once that's done, you'll want to go back to your webinar registration form, and you'll see a new option under settings called ConvertKit. Then we'll add a new feed. This is basically Gravity Forms feeding the information from the form to ConvertKit. And then we have a name. I'll call this webinar reg. You then select the ConvertKit form you want this information associated with. I have a generic webinar form set up, which is how I'm kind of, again, getting around the creating multiple events thing. Then I have the email. I will use the full name, which is really just the first name. And then you can add custom fields. And this is really where the magic happens for Gravity Forms, because you can't tag users based on the form they filled out without creating a bunch of different forms. But you can have a custom field in ConvertKit. So I have a custom field called webinar, and then I will select the hidden webinar name field. So we'll click Update Settings, and then we will add this to a page. So I'll go to Page, Add New. We'll add a title, Sign Up. And then we will insert the Gravity Forms block, which you can find right here. If you can't find it, you can search Gravity Forms, and it'll show up. I'll select the webinar registration form. So we see the form here, looks good. But if we open the options, there's the advanced panel, and you can see the fields values here. So in order to set the fields value, remember we allowed our hidden field to be populated dynamically. We called that webinar, so we would write webinar equals, and then whatever we want the webinar name to be, so or the webinar value to be. So I'm just going to call this one generating leads. Now, if I click publish on this and we view the page, we have the form. If I inspect the element here and we look at the hidden value, which I don't expect lots of people to do, but we could see the value here says generating leads. That is perfect. So now if I fill out this form, I'll just make up some information. and I click submit. Now we see our add to calendar button here. Great. And if we go back to our dashboard and go to forms entries, we'll see Sean, his email address, and the webinar name generating leads. If we go to ConvertKit, we can see that Sean has been added as a new subscriber and the webinar is generating leads. So that's it for this video. In it, you learned how to use Gravity Forms and ConvertKit to create a simple webinar sign-up form that you can easily change thanks to dynamic hidden fields. If you liked this video, be sure to click the thumbs up down below and subscribe to this channel for more great content.